Picture this moment, a silent stretch of interstellar darkness, broken only by the distant hum of Voyager's fading heartbeat. Then, out of nowhere, a pulse, a coded rhythm too deliberate to be random, too structured to be noise. It wasn't coming from Earth, it was bouncing back toward it. At first, NASA thought it was interference, a data echo from an old probe, perhaps an anomaly in the deep space network. But the signal had a signature, a pattern no satellite or natural source could produce. Its origin? The coordinates of an object last tracked in 2024 Comet Atlas 3I, the third known interstellar visitor to our solar system. The data resembled a transmission, but not in any human language. When decoded through standard binary interpretation, it produced not numbers, not words, but a geometric sequence, a message in mathematics. If Atlas 3I is not alive, then who or what just responded? Picture this, the vast black expanse of space stretched endlessly, the kind of silence that feels eternal. Then, a single pulse breaks through faint, rhythmic, deliberate, deep in the Australian night. At NASA's Canberra Deep Space Communication Complex, rows of antennas rotate toward the void. Their sensors hum with static and distance. A technician leans closer to a console as the noise pattern begins to shift, not randomly, but intentionally. At first, it's filed as a glitch. Space is full of whispers, solar winds, cosmic microwave echoes, remnants of humanity's own transmissions bouncing off debris. But this one persists. It repeats. Its frequency matches nothing in the known catalog except one. A long-forgotten entry in the archives, last seen in 2024. Atlas 3I, the third interstellar object ever recorded to cross our system, dismissed as a fragment of alien rock and dust. It had vanished into the black, beyond tracking range, beyond memory. Until now. I thought it was feedback, recalls Dr. Marianne Holt, a systems analyst on the night shift. But when I inverted the signal and compared its phase, it answered. The word hung heavy in the control room, answered, as if the cosmos had heard and decided to respond. NASA initiated cross-verification through the Madrid and Goldstone arrays. The echo aligned with Earth's rotation cycle, as though the transmission knew when we were listening. Data packets revealed harmonic intervals, deliberate pauses, and a synchronization too perfect to be coincidence. Each repetition arrived with microscopic adjustments, as though the source were calibrating, fine-tuning its communication. By the end of that week, every station on the Deep Space Network had logged identical anomalies. The coordinates traced a moving origin just past the heliopause, the boundary where our solar wind fades into interstellar night. A place where no human-made probe was transmitting, a place where nothing should be. As the data streamed in, a haunting realization began to take shape. Atlas 3, I hadn't just passed through, it had been waiting. And now it was calling back. The signal was no longer a mystery of noise, it was design. Hidden within the static, the transmission revealed a rhythm too deliberate to belong to nature. When scientists isolated its core pattern, they found prime number intervals, nested symmetries, and recursive loops, a self-similar structure repeating across multiple frequencies, like a message encoded in the very fabric of mathematics. Each burst followed a harmonic ratio, eerily reminiscent of biological rhythms, the way a human heart fluctuates between beats, the way neurons fire in fractal waves. Yet this was coming from a point beyond the heliopause, from a fragment of ice and rock spinning endlessly in the void. Randomness doesn't correct itself, said Dr. Rafael Moreno of JPL, staring at the spectral graph. But this one does. Each iteration of the signal refined its own imperfections. Noise diminished with every cycle. By the third day, the pattern was adapting, learning from interference, adjusting as though it understood the distortion Earth's atmosphere introduced. At SETI, the debate fractured into two camps. Some argued it was a reflection, a mirror of our own deep space transmissions, distorted by gravitational lensing or interstellar plasma. But others pointed to the impossible symmetry in the intervals, a recursive algorithm embedded within itself, repeating at scales both micro and cosmic. The pattern's internal timing followed the golden ratio, the same ratio found in galaxies, shells, hurricanes, and human DNA. To some, it was coincidence. To others, it was communication through universal constants. Late into the analysis, a new discovery emerged. When the signal was translated into visual data, it formed a rotating structure, a lattice, folding in on itself, expanding and contracting like a living pulse. Each layer seemed to anticipate the next, predicting interference before it occurred. If this was a reflection, it was one that understood its observer. And then, one night, as the team ran a new simulation, the pattern changed again, aligning perfectly for the first time with the exact moment of Earth's midnight, as if somewhere out there, Atlas III, I had learned what time it was. It began as a whisper across continents faint, synchronized pulses threading their way through the static of 3 separate observatories. In Chile, Canberra, and Arecibo, instruments thousands of miles apart recorded the same anomaly within seconds of each other. The timestamps were nearly identical, yet subtly staggered, as if testing for depth triangulating. When the data was overlaid, something astonishing appeared. Not a line, not a waveform, but a shape. A rotating lattice of light and geometry, a 3-dimensional model encoded not in visuals, but in time. As the sequence unfolded, it rotated like a cube seen from beyond the constraints of human perception, angles bending, folding, expanding through unseen dimensions. Researchers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory began feeding the data into 3D render engines. The pattern assembled itself into a spatial geometry, each node connected by pulses of varying frequency, a structure that evolved as if reacting to their analysis. Every attempt to decode it was met with subtle alterations in the next signal, as though the transmitter or the source was aware it was being examined. Within the lattice, physicists identified microfluctuations in amplitude, matching quantum resonance frequencies, frequencies that normally exist only in controlled laboratory conditions. We were detecting something that behaved like a quantum system, explained Dr. Ilya Romanchuk, a theoretical physicist from Caltech, but it was doing so across interstellar space. The implications were staggering. Atlas III, I, a cometary body composed of silicate and ice, should not be capable of coherent resonance or directional transmission, yet the evidence said otherwise. And then something stranger happened. Each time the team refined their models, each time they improved the calibration to capture the pattern more clearly, the signal weakened. The more they tried to see it, the fainter it became. It was as if observation itself, awareness, changed the outcome. A cosmic parallel to the quantum observer effect, where the act of measuring alters reality. And as the lattice dissolved back into silence, one question emerged in every mind at once. Was the universe observing us back? The moment the findings were released, the scientific community fractured like glass under pressure. Every new fragment of data produced more questions than answers, and with them, rival theories. One camp, led by astrophysicist Dr. Helena Voss, proposed that Atlas III I was not a natural body at all. Its composition, velocity, and strange trajectory had already set it apart from comets and asteroids. What if, she argued, it was a relic, an ancient probe, designed to communicate through the only truly universal medium, mathematics? The signal's recursive order, its prime intervals, its perfect golden symmetry, all pointed to a deliberate intelligence, one that spoke the language of the cosmos itself. But skeptics fired back. Dr. Andrew Falk, a veteran radio astronomer, called it an illusion of precision. He proposed the anthropic echo theory that Atlas III, I was merely reflecting the chaos of human transmission, bouncing fragments of our own radio noise through gravitational distortions. We're staring into a mirror of our own making, he said. It's not talking, we're listening to ourselves. And then came a third idea, the one no one wanted to entertain. It emerged late one night from a cryptographer at SETI named Leah Nordstrom, who had been mapping the signal's timestamps. Her discovery was unsettling. The sequence of transmissions didn't originate linearly. They repeated data fragments that had already been logged, identical down to the microsecond, as if replaying recorded time itself. What if it's not sending, she wrote, but replaying? The chilling implications settled over the research teams like a fog. Could Atlas IIII be a vessel of stored data, a cosmic recorder drifting between star systems, preserving echoes of civilizations long dead? Or worse, was it, replaying our own broadcasts, distorted through space-time, arriving back before they were ever sent? Each theory carved a deeper wound in the search for truth. Artificial intelligence, reflection, temporal loop, every path ended in paradox. But the question that lingered behind closed doors was the same. If Atlas III I was replaying, who recorded it in the first place? The final transmission came without warning. After weeks of silence, a faint pulse reemerged, fragmented, distorted, but unmistakably patterned. The data packet arrived through the Madrid station, encoded in frequencies just above the cosmic background noise. Analysts prepared for another stream of mathematical symbols, but when they ran the final decryption protocol, the output was not numbers, it was an image. Slowly, on a dim monitor deep within NASA's Signal Interpretation Lab, the lattice of code unfolded into form. Lines curved, intersected, spiraled outward, and then froze. What appeared on the screen was hauntingly familiar, a map. Not of stars, but of orbits. Earth's orbital trajectory, rendered in elegant symmetry. But its center was wrong. The sun was missing. Instead, every path circled around a blank coordinate, an empty point beyond the sun's current position, a gravitational void that, mathematically, should not exist. In that silence, one truth emerged. The sender knew exactly where we are. Dr. Holt was the first to speak. It's a reference frame, she whispered. They're not showing us where they are, they're showing us where we will be. The realization rippled through the team. The transmission's time dilation, its recursive corrections, even its weakening pattern, all consistent with temporal echo. What if this wasn't a signal sent to us, but from us across time, folded through the gravitational fabric of the solar system? What if Atlas III I was a messenger caught in a closed loop carrying a recording from humanity's distant future, now returned to its origin point? The philosophical weight was crushing. If true, it meant consciousness or technology had found a way to communicate through time itself. But if so, what was the message trying to say? Engineers enhanced the image one final time. Faintly, beneath the orbital map, another layer emerged, wave-like distortions forming a subtle shape. Not words, not symbols, a pattern resembling a heartbeat. A warning or a greeting? No one could tell. And as the final signal faded into silence once more, humanity was left staring into the abyss, listening to the echo of a voice that might impossibly be its own.